Can planet Earth feed 10 billion people? An article written by Charles C. Mann. The main point here is to review two solutions that potentially have the answer of how could we provide enough resources to feed those overpopulating world in the future. The first one is talking about creating new technologies which will enable us to use more resources and to create opportunities that wasn't even there. And the other one is trying to limit our usage of things to the minimum so that we can find enough food and resources for everybody with the resources we have now. And we can see this from the metaphor that discussed how humankind can be similar to the bus racing through an inevitable fog. And every party and every part of the discussion thinks that he is right and he's going to the right direction, but when they are still fighting, still the problem is magnifying and the number of the passengers of this bus is also keeping rising. And also, I want to mention that the article didn't really talk about a direction that we should take, but it talked about how should we take it and when should we take it. Because when he said his daughter will be here in his age in 2050, the world must decide then and see which one is more beneficial rather than more feasible, because both of them are feasible, both of them are in the field now, but the humanity is hesitating to choose which one is better. I think the writer took very neutral approach here because he mentioned the advantages and disadvantages of the two methods, and we can see this from the written piece among here and how he said the ecosystem will be ruined if we continue to exceed the limits, and mention why we should do one thing, but in the other side he also mentioned that there is a way that we can get those beyond limits needs with the new scientist approach, and willing to make these new experiments that will lead us to some things like the semi-dwarf wheat, which will provide much more wheat crops and can potentially hold a solution for the exceeding limit problem we have now. Me coming from a STEM background gave me a bias toward the scientific side more and more discoveries to have things exceeding our limits now. And I think I expected from the hint that he gave in the first sentence in his hook on how would we feed the world, that he will actually have a solution to it, but that wasn't the case. He was all about the timing of solving the things. And the purpose I read it is actually to find why he was talking to in this problem, and to see if he will present more knowledge. The context I want to mention is the time of publishing. This was published this month, which gave me an idea about how hesitant humankind can be in towards choosing a solution, and that made me rethink about every certain details and make sure that I'm taking careful notes about everything, because if humanity can decide in those urgent things and moving this slow, I should do, and I should put in consideration every certain outcome and what can happen, because life depends on this choice.